I don't have a political machine. I don't come from money. But what I do have is this. I have grit.
She had grit, but not an umbrella there in that announcement. Let's talk more about the presidential race with one of the Democrats who just joined the fray. Minnesota Senator Amy Klobuchar made it official Sunday. Senator, thanks a lot.
Thanks, Brett. And I'm glad you're doing well and you're on the mend after that accident.
You should have the sore throat, too. No, thank you very much for the accident.
It was fun to see my hair turn white in 20 minutes. It felt like you could watch yourself getting old.
Yeah. I've heard you list all the bipartisan pieces of legislation you've authored, worked on, sponsored. I've seen lists of quotes from Republicans, which probably don't help you in your race. But here's some reporting from one of your hometown papers, the Star Tribune. Asks, is she progressive enough to win the nomination at a time when the party's most liberal wing is ascendant? Her voting record is safe. It's very centrist. And that's just not what we're about. We need somebody that's a champion. So are you liberal enough for your party?
I believe in progress, and that's being progressive. But what I really also believe in is that we need to stop governing from chaos and move to opportunity. And these are views and values not just consistent with my party, but also with America. I think that we need to do better in terms of making our economy work better for everyone. I think we need to pass comprehensive immigration reform. And I look at this as not just a moral issue. I actually look at it as an economic issue. When you look at, in my state, we need workers for some of the jobs, especially in our rural areas. We have a 2.8% unemployment rate. 70 of our Fortune 500 companies are headed up by immigrants. 25% of our U.S. Nobel laureates were born in other countries. So I see that as an economic imperative. You and I talked about privacy legislation. We need to start looking up at the challenges instead of just fighting down, and I called it the river of our divides, as I announced next to the Mississippi River. So that's what this is about.
Took notice of your announcement. I saw the back and forth about the snow and your talk about climate change.
Me Snow Woman, which isn't a bad nickname as they go.
But I want to ask you about some specifics today. Take a listen to this.
The biggest proponents of open borders are rich liberals and wealthy donors. These are hypocrites who oppose security for you while living their entire lives. I do too, to be honest with you. I'm guilty. I'm guilty. I also live behind walls, okay? They live behind walls and gates, and they have guards all over the place. Me too, because I want to be safe, and I want to make America safe, if you don't mind.
Talk about immigration first. That's the president in El Paso. You've been supportive of border security and a barrier in the past. Are you now?
Well, first of all, I want to respond to what he said there. I don't live behind a gate. I didn't grow up with a lot of money. But I believe that you can have border security and do it in a smart way. I don't think that is running a wall across the whole border. When you look at some of our issues, some of the areas involve a fence, some a barrier. But one of the major problems we have right now is the drugs coming in, and that is not coming in those areas without a wall. It tends to be coming in at the ports of entry. And so that's why I have not looked at this agreement yet. Of course, it was just reached, but I know that that was a major focus of some of the negotiations to up the work that's being done at those ports of entry.
I want to talk about a number of subjects. Let's do a lightning round on immigration real quick. If there's an enforcement action and ICE finds a group of people living in the country illegally, no criminal records, should they be deported?
Well, I would like to see in the long term a path to citizenship, all right? And so that way, if you have people that don't have a criminal record, they wouldn't be deported. And what's bothering me right now, and if they've been here for a number of years, if they have learned English, all the things that we've had in the comprehensive immigration bill, which, by the way, was supported by Grover Norquist, because it would have brought the debt down by $158 billion.
If there's a family, their visa expires, they have 3 kids, should they be deported?
Again, I would like to see comprehensive immigration reform. And I think you have to look at, when you look at these deep, this is what I've seen in my state, Brett, is that people that have happened to touch the system are the ones that seem to be then getting deported. Maybe, I mean this not in a criminal sense. I was a prosecutor. Of course, I believe people that have committed crimes should be deported.
Right, but I'm talking about this family and what happens to them today, because there's not comprehensive immigration reform, and it doesn't look like there's a prospect.
We don't want to deport 12 million people. people.
So you say
so
no?
the answer is, how do you pick the ones that get deported? And I would say you look at people that have committed crimes, no matter where they've lived, have serious crimes, and that should be, of course, your number one enforcement priority. My problem is that they've been going after, say, professors in Minnesota, or someone who's been a doctor in Rochester, Minnesota for years.
But here illegally?
This has been happening. When they first came in, they came in undocumented, but they've lived here for a number of years. The president won't protect dreamers. Right now, they're protected by a court order.
But you were a prosecutor,
These are people
right?
that were not brought to our country through no fault of their own.
Sure, but some people are here illegally. What happens if you find them in some enforcement action? If today that happens, there's not comprehensive immigration.
That is correct. But what I don't like about what's going on is that they seem to be targeting certain people that have maybe even tried to apply for citizenship and done the right thing. So the way you solve this is what we did in the Senate, bipartisan, with comprehensive immigration reform.
Okay, last one on this. Many lawmakers pushing for extensive guest worker program. Would you be in favor of a law that says that companies have to try to find a qualified American worker first before hiring a guest worker in the country and a guest worker visa?
I mean, I like that part of what we have in place right now, and I think we could strengthen it with our H-1B visas and some of the others. But you've got to have, when you look at the work that we did in 2013 on the farm part of this, we worked out an agreement with the Farm Bureau, the Farmers Union, and the migrant workers. We worked out a deal with the AFL-CIO and the Chamber, so that, of course, first American workers, but there are plenty of other needs in our economy.
Here's the Green New Deal. If the Senate Majority Leader brings it to the floor, how do you vote on it?
The Green New Deal, I see it as, by the way, I see it as aspirational. I see it as a jumpstart. So I would vote yes, but I would also, if it got down to the nitty-gritty of an actual legislation as opposed to, oh, here are some goals we have, that would be different for me.
But here's the goals.
Okay.
Full transition off fossil fuels, including drastically reducing air travel. You're for it?
I am for a jumpstart of the discussion and a framework, as Senator Markey has described. I am not for reducing air travel. So
net zero greenhouse gas emissions.
I don't think that is going to happen in the next few years, but you can imagine by new technology, and by the way, that includes nuclear and everything else, that we could get to a better place.
Economic security for all who are unable or unwilling to work.
I don't agree with the unwilling to work.
And last one, upgrade or replace every building in the U.S. for state-of-the-art energy efficiency.
I think we should put in better building standards. But could I just say what I would like to do, and I proposed in my announcement, what I would like to see is on day one to get back into the International Climate Change Agreement. We are the only country not in it. I would like to see us put in place those clean power rules again that would bring us a 30% reduction. I think those are doable things that we've worked on. And if you look at this from an economic standpoint, there's one thing that people haven't been talking about. That is that homeowners insurance has gone up something like 50% in just the last 10 years in the coast. But why? Because of the risk of climate change. Fourth hottest year last year. Parents driving their kids through wildfires in California, trying to talk their kid down. For us to do nothing and to go backwards is wrong. So I view this as a framework for discussion, but nothing that we are not going to reduce air travel right now. We are not going to get rid of all of these industries right now. We just need to start as a country seeing it as an aspiration to do better than we're doing now.
We have to do better with our advertisers. Would you mind staying after the break for a couple more questions?
I would love to accommodate your advertising.
Thank you, Senator.
Thank you.
We'll be right back.
Want a performance car that actually fits your life? Introducing the new 2019 Ford Edge ST. Capability meets power in the first SUV from the Ford Performance team. The new 2019 Ford Edge ST.
As a fitness junkie, I customize everything. Bike, wheels, saddle. That's why I switched to Liberty Mutual. They customized my insurance, so I only paid for what I need. I insured my car and my bike. My calves are custom, too, but I can't insure those, which is a crying shame.
Only pay for what you need.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
Do you have bruised skin? You need Dermend Moisturizing Bruise Formula for mature skin. Dermend uses proven ingredients that help improve the appearance of bruises. Help your bruised skin. Get Dermend now at Walgreens, Walmart, CVS, and Rite Aid.
I want to get a bar put in over there. Do you know any good contractors? Yeah, I might. Nice! Give me a bunch of quotes, check the reviews, and verify the credentials and qualifications.
You can't expect your neighbors to do everything HomeAdvisor can, so just ask HomeAdvisor.
My world spins fast, but I wouldn't change a thing. I wear many hats: mother, daughter, and wife. Being a visiting angel is a big part of my life. I love providing the care that George needs now that he lives alone. Visiting Angels gives me the confidence, work experience, and support to be the best caregiver possible.
Visiting Angels, America's choice in home care.
So I'm searching for my show, and the dish guy just appears. Said he overheard my death scroll. I said, And he said the sound of scrolling channels to death. Said with Dish, you just say what you want, and it's on.
Control your TV by voice remote, or Amazon Alexa, or your Google Assistant. Only with Dish. Tuned into you.
Tonight on Hannity, is the Green Deal for real?
I think that it's not realistic at this point.
Hear what America is saying. Plus, Sean has can't-miss reaction to the president's rally.
For the aches and pains that stop you in your tracks, Tommy's got your back. Tommy Copper's revolutionary pro-grade shoulder shirt, now available in long sleeve, delivers pain-relieving compression to your shoulders and the muscles along your spine.
The Tommy Copper shoulder shirt has double support panels that bring our shoulders back into a neutral position, which helps to reduce pain in the lower back, the mid-back, and shoulders.
Visit TommyCopper.com to see all the ways we can help relieve your pain. Go now and save 25%. Tommy's got your back.
Do you get all crisscross applesauce having to look a nurse in the eye while talking about all your silly man issues? Well, don't fret. Hims is your one-stop shop for skin, hair, and more. Like a lighthouse in a stormy sea, we're here for you. So easy and discreet. Just go to 4hims.com and get started for $5 today. You won't regret it.
We are back with Minnesota Senator and 2020 presidential candidate Amy Klobuchar. Thanks for sticking around. A couple of more things. The Minnesota delegation, the president condemned the comments from Congresswoman Omar today for being anti-Semitic, thinks she should resign from Congress. Haven't seen you weigh in on those comments. Do you think she should?
I did. I was asked for
I
a
just
comment.
haven't seen
it's okay. Yesterday in Minnesota, and I gave a statement that, of course, criticized the comments as being anti-Semitic. I'm glad she apologized. That was the right thing to do. But there is just no room for those kinds of words. And I think that Israel is our beacon of democracy. I've been a strong supporter of Israel, and that will never change.
The president talked about socialism in El Paso, hit it really hard. He seems to be using the State of the Union address, talked about it again, saying it doesn't work anywhere. It's produced poverty, misery, repression, and despair. Do you agree with that?
I am a Democrat and not a socialist. I actually worked in the private sector for 14 years, and I believe in capitalism. I just believe that you also need a strong government that looks at things like, well, if you have all monopolies and you've got no competition, you got to have antitrust laws. That's the founders of our country believe that. I believe you need consumer laws to protect people, and it's always a balance in how you do that. But you also have to have our country was founded on a strong economic system, and I believe in competition and capitalism.
There have been a number of stories about how you deal with your staff. I've heard you answer the questions, that you expect a lot, that you're a tough boss. You concede that. But you also point to others who say they like working with you. Some of the stories are pretty specific, though. Here's a Yahoo a number of former staffers, both male and female, describe a workplace environment governed by fear and dread, one in which Klobuchar treated her Capitol Hill staffers with cruelty and humiliation while fixating on seemingly minor issues. The Huffington Post says that Senator Reid rebuked you for mistreatment of your staff in 2015. Is that true?
I called Senator Reid when I heard this, and he doesn't remember that, and I don't remember that either. And I
so
have.
Where's all this coming from?
I don't know. It's all anonymous, but I will say that I am proud of our staff. And yes, I can be a tough boss and push people. That's obvious. But that's because I have high expectations of myself. I have high expectations of those that work with me. And I have high expectations for our country. My chief of staff has worked for me for 6 years, my state director for 7 years, my campaign manager for 14 years.
Ever throw a binder at anybody?
If you look at that story, I think you'll see it said something about me throwing a binder down,
so you think
not
this is
at
just
someone.
out to kind of give you a negative perception as you roll out this presidential run?
I don't know what it is. I just know that I should be judged, and I will take responsibility for everything that happens on this campaign. And there's nothing better way to judge a manager, which I was for years, by the way, when I was county attorney with a very low turnover rate for 8 years, managed hundreds of prosecutors, which isn't easy to do. And so I think people should judge me based on this campaign and how we do. And we sure had a good beginning, and that was a strong team that did that.
I mean, some are saying the questions are sexist to begin with, but obviously Democrats are going to use temperament as one of the things to run against President Trump. So do you have the temperament to be president?
I do. I think I showed that during the Kavanaugh hearings, and I have showed that through my life in terms of how I dealt with adversity in my personal life, growing up with my dad with a pretty severe drinking problem. He's doing well now at age 90, to the life I lead now.
And that's the elevator pitch?
Oh, my elevator pitch? No, no, no. My elevator pitch is I've had it with governing from chaos. We need to govern from opportunity. We need to look up at the challenges before us instead of looking down and looking away. And those challenges are big, but we are up to them as a country. And one of the reasons I came on this show is that I believe that candidates for office, whether a Democrat or a Republican, have to go not just where it's comfortable, but where it's uncomfortable. And I love you, but Fox may not always be comfortable for Democrats. But I want to make that point.
Senator Klobuchar, we appreciate your time.
Thank you, Brett. It's great to be on.